Okay, so I decided to redo that video because I thought it was a botched job. But no, I woke up this morning. Last night I went to bed pretty early, but my brain was just spinning, because I'm just so uncomfortable with the situation the way that it is. You know, I was thinking about how dangerous going to work is these days. I mean, because they don't see the point in confidentiality. They see nothing wrong with sharing information, your information. They don't see any problem with breaking laws. And then the person who's like, for example, people like myself feel the effects of it. It's horrible. It's horrible. And, a long time ago, minorities used to feel confident. Like, most of the time, if you were looking for work, you would look for, like, the equal opportunity emblem or whatever. A lot of minorities looked for that because they felt like, okay, well, this I can feel good about. I can feel good that, I feel safe. That's why it's advertised. You're supposed to make you feel safe. It's supposed to make you feel comfortable. It's supposed to give you the reassurance that, you know what, we understand that this kind of stuff happens, but we are a kind of company that makes sure it doesn't. We give you, a fair chance, and, we're not going to discriminate against you based on blah, 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 blah. It has gotten to the point where employers participate in this shit, and it's like they don't even know what they're supposed to be standing for. That's terrifying to me. That is terrifying that we live in a day and age where this kind of stuff has always happened. There's always been corruption, but I cannot get over the magnitude of the corruption. I cannot get over that. And then you got companies that, I saw this one thing on the news. It was talking about not just the person who sent me the article about 37% of employers use Facebook, to screen their candidates. Okay, but there was an older man who made a comment, and he was talking about how he used Facebook to screen candidates and stuff. And these people seem proud of it. They do. They seem very proud that their so-called techniques is, and I understand that, social media is important because, if a person works for a company and they're in some way using the company name to give it a bad reputation or whatever, or maybe they're in a situation where they are representing the company and making the company look bad. In situations like that, yeah, definitely, because it's directly connected to your work. But as far as like looking at Facebook and basing it on I don't know what they were basing it on, to be honest with you, because like I said, there was very little activity on my Facebook account. Very little. I mean, I'm talking very little. Like, every once in a while, somebody might say happy birthday. Every once in a while, somebody might say hi or something like that. I didn't really have any content. I didn't have any sort of, I just don't understand how that could even happen, unless, of course, they base it off of what other people are saying about you. And I will say that most of the people that are on Facebook, I haven't seen in years. Haven't seen them in years, so what they're basing it on is just kind of coming out of their ass, because I'll tell you right now, nobody really knows me. I haven't really kept in contact with most of the people on Facebook. Every once in a while, I would get like a quick message from somebody or whatever, or I'd send something and say hi or whatever. But as far as like them knowing me, like what am I into these days, or what books I've read, or that kind of stuff, nobody knows me. So it's like, if companies are using this to evaluate employees and they're bragging about it, there's a lot of people who are being turned away for no reason. And then also I was thinking about how using these means to screen applicants is a way of it could be setting you up for being discriminated against on things that don't matter. I think yesterday, I don't know if I actually uploaded that video. I deleted a lot of videos that I was going to upload because it just got like, oh my God, Marie, you're just cranking these videos out. But I kept thinking, okay, what if a person, you know, decided to vote for Hillary Clinton last election? Okay, this is just an example. Okay, just for example, and you know, maybe the person who was going to hire her was a big Trump supporter or whatever, and then they saw that, you know, she was a Hillary Clinton supporter, and then he decides based on that to not hire her. See, now when you're basing it on stuff like that, like things on Facebook and stuff, the problem is that it opens you up for subjective thinking, and oftentimes it could borderline on forms of discrimination, because, you know, you're not supposed to, people might judge you on your political affiliations, they might judge you on your church or whatever, and these are the sort of things that could borderline or be considered discrimination. So I don't think it is. What you're supposed to be basing it on is your previous work experience. You know, that's it. I know that sounds like, you know, it doesn't sound very juicy. It doesn't sound you know, gossip worthy, but that's pretty much it. And I don't know where these people are coming up with their guidelines. I think it's ridiculous. You know, you're supposed to contact the previous employer, and you're supposed to, you know, if your requisition, the job requisition said, well, did you do these, and these things? And you call the previous employer, and they are the ones. You're only supposed to state on your resume what you've actually done. Okay, so basically, like I said, whatever function of the job, like if you created correspondences for your employer or whatever, that's what you put on there. You know what I mean? And then the interviews that I had to deal with were so stupid. It's like, okay, any recruiter should know that if you're looking for a candidate, that's what it's supposed to match. It's supposed to match that, and that's that you verify that with the previous employer. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you'll say, well, what were her duties? You know, or she'll say on the resume, well, you know, she said she, you know, processed payroll. She said she, you know, processed payables. She did receivables. She, you know, did heavy collections or whatever. And that's the stuff that is supposed to be verified. And that's pretty much it. Would you hire this person again? And some people just kind of keep it to that, you know what I mean? Because they want to avoid lawsuits or saying something that's not true. And so that's one quick way of just verifying a reference. These people, I really just, they have gotten to the point where it's like, I really don't have a lot of respect for how people conduct business. And then, like, when it comes to the equal opportunity employers, I think I was mentioning, at least in my last video, I'm starting to kind of like not remember which switch, but you know, when it comes to people, equal opportunity employers used to be sought out by people like myself or whatever, because, you know, if you're a minority, if you're a woman or whatever, for example, you're a divorced woman, or you're a woman of color, or, you know, whatever, let's just say, for example, you're a Jewish woman or whatever, you would look through and you would say, oh, this is an equal opportunity employer. I feel good about approaching this employer. I feel good about it, because you know that you're going to be evaluated for your skills and not based on, they're going to take, you know, certain measures to not base it on things that are frivolous and stupid, like, you know, who you're married to or whatever. My conjugal agreement, or lack of arrangement, I should say, has nothing to do with my marriage. I mean, my work, it just doesn't. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who have been complaining about how things, you know, the employment thing is just not worth people's time anymore. Hang on a second. It's not worth people's time anymore. And but for what do you do when you're somebody who you're not somebody who has like a product or something like that to sell, you're not in a position to go into business for yourself. What do you do then? That puts people in a very awkward situation. I saw this lady's video and I had to laugh because she was talking about how it's gotten to the point where, working for companies really doesn't make sense because the things that they do doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. I tell you what, I'm disturbed that that they do that business the way they do. I'm disturbed that they can't identify domestic abuse. I'm disturbed that they participate in domestic abuse. I'm disturbed that they bend over backwards and cater to the abusers. That to me is just absolutely insane. We're living in a very scary time. And I am. It's terrifying. It is. Yeah, I don't believe in it. I know the world has literally, things have really fallen apart. And I have lost respect for a lot of the, for something that I always thought that was really important. And that's because most people are not doing their jobs, or they kind of cut corners, or they don't understand that what they're doing is illegal. And it's terrifying. The weird part is that the targeted individuals are the groups of people who are being persecuted. That's the weird part. The targets are being persecuted, and the perpetrators are the ones who are doing evil. Now, regardless of whether somebody thought that jumping on the let's harass Maria because she married a white man bandwagon, you got to think about that in the first place. I mean, first of all, is it any of your business? Does it have anything to do with work? No, it doesn't. None of it has anything to do with work. Why can't somebody be professional and say, you know what? The only person I remember meeting that was professional, and I worked for her for a while, she had an agency, and she was the only one who I felt, she had her little preferences and stuff, but as far as like handling things professionally, I think she was pretty much the only one. Like, for example, we were trained, if somebody was to call and say, hey, I want like a white male to handle my books and stuff, she adhered to the law. She was basically saying, I'm sorry, I can send you somebody who's qualified. Very professional in everything that she did. And that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to, if you say you're an equal opportunity employer, then you're supposed to conduct yourself that way. And that's what I don't understand. And the reason why I wake up in the morning and I literally get chills and it literally makes me sick and I cannot get over this trauma is because look at what this has evolved into. When you're getting calls from people from the different parts of the United States and that kind of thing, how can it not make you sick? How can it not make you sick? If somebody can easily, if a man can easily make a phone call and domestically, literally abuse somebody, and you got active participants from one company calling her competitors so they can compete in it too, I'm going to tell you what, that's pretty damn scary. And that's the world we're living in right now. So that's I have cause for concern, and it's there. It's definitely there. Anyway, so it's getting kind of late. It's like I've been talking for about 13 minutes. Time for me to do my hair now. It's becoming terrifying. I'm becoming sick. Literally, I know that I need to figure something out, but you don't know where to start because it gets overwhelming. It's like, well, where do I do? Where do I go? How do I rectify this? How do I feel free? How do I, because I'll tell you what, the whole Piggy Polly thing is over. I don't want to deal with them. I don't even want to look at him. I see him on the couch and I just like, oh my God, who are you? And I really do. I literally look at him and I think, who are you, Joel Graham? Who are you? Like, I have no idea what this man, who he is. I don't know what he is, or what he is. I think he's weird, and I think that's crazy. And I think, wow. All I can say is wow. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I'll be back with another one shortly. Thank you, bye.